Hi, here from Mayor's Report on Wednesday, October 20th, here at the Dublin Library. A couple things I want to talk about here at the library. First, at our council meeting last night, the council took some exciting steps I'm really happy about. A partnership with DHPA, the Dublin Library, Camp Parks, and the military to house the Camp Parks History Center temporarily here in the extra space of the Dublin Library. The History Center, rich history of the entire base of Camp Parks. Camp Parks, of course, been a part of our community since the 1940s. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of soldiers have come through here. We have such a rich history. History Center was established on base in 1993. It was a great center, all these different artifacts, but a couple things. First, very few people knew about it, and access was certainly very limited. So although it was on the base, not very many people saw it. The Army, as part of the redevelopment of the base, it just was difficulty in terms of being able to keep it maintained there, and the Army had other things that they're doing as part of their renovations, so they stored it. But Lieutenant Colonel Friend, he wanted to make sure that these artifacts remain a part of Dublin's community. It was something the DHPA wanted to see, it was something the City Council wanted to see, so we all came together with a temporary solution to house it here in the extra space of the Dublin Library. We'll be able to use it for occasional exhibits. If we want to have exhibits here at the library, if we want to have exhibits at the Historical Center, maybe some traveling exhibits with the schools. So we've been able to preserve that history, and then long term we're looking at establishing a military museum or some type of a military history center in Dublin, because there isn't anything like that in the Bay Area, and the Bay Area and the military have had a long relationship. So we're thinking we might house something regionally using the Camp Parks artifacts as a base, or maybe we just have a Camp Parks History Center long term as part of the land exchange. But at least temporarily we're able to come to a solution, and we're happy to have that here at the library. Speaking of the library, I was here as part of the Dublin Reads program on Monday night. I led a book discussion on the book Pearl of China, which is the annual book the library promotes once a year. The whole concept of the Dublin Reads, the whole community reading a single book. So I think that was a great event, but not just that event. The library does a great job year-round. They host all kinds of different special programs, visits with authors, a lot of special events, book clubs. Friends of the Dublin Library, one of our organizations of the year several times in a row. So it's just so many great things to see, and being here on a Wednesday afternoon, walking into this place and seeing people of all ages utilize the entire facility. This is really one of the most special public facilities we have in the city of Dublin, and I'm really proud of the work that the library staff does and that so many residents are able to utilize it. Getting back to the council meeting that we had last night, a couple other items of interest. Speaking of kids, we were talking about the library. One was on Red Ribbon Week. We did a proclamation on that, obviously supporting Dublin as a drug-free community. The other one, we heard a presentation from the school district on the outstanding test scores, the meteoric rise, particularly in the last 5 years, of the district's API. So that was a great presentation. A couple other items that we took action on. We voted on at the Transit Center, one of the new developments in terms of the residential side. We did a kind of a mixed a dual entitlement, something that's very rare. There was already an entitlement for Metropolitan, which was going to be a 300-unit complex near the existing Avalon and Elon housing near the Transit Center. But we have a dual entitlement for a much less dense project, a project with 100 units. So both projects are approved, and it's going to be the market that determines which ones move forward. Either the original project, which had 15,000 square feet of retail and 300 units, or the new project, which is more of a townhome variety, much less dense, 105 units, and something that we might move forward with instead. So kind of a unique thing, but both projects are quality projects and will help move the Transit Center forward. And I think from the council's perspective, we're just happy to see a landowner and a developer who wants to see something happen, and we're happy to work with them. A couple other things on the business front. I gave a great report last week about all the exciting developments coming into town. We did a couple other things in terms of flexibility. As first, on signage, we passed a permanent ordinance being a little bit more flexible in terms of the signage we allow for businesses. And the second one had to do with temporary use permits. A lot of businesses want to have special events, outdoor sales. They've approached the staff, and we created a more flexible process to allow businesses to do some types of special events, whether it be a community fundraiser or a special sale, something outside, something to draw people. It's something that we want to see as a council, so we approved the temporary use permit revisions. So those are a couple of the things. Also at the council meeting, we approved the sponsorship for the Earl Anthony's PBA event. In addition to being at the sponsor at the same level as last year, we're going to have some street pole banners with the PBA logo and the ESPN logo to highlight that event. It's really exciting last week of January that we're having that come into Dublin. We realized last year we had a report at the council over $350,000 of revenue to the city in terms of the economic impact by having that event here. So certainly we want to do all we can to support it. We looked at the feasibility of establishing a Human Services Commission now that we're reaching 50,000 as a population, something that we looked at, maybe looking at doing a task force instead, but some type of a committee that might look at social services, housing, and what the city is doing on some of these fronts. We decided to hold off right now until we get the census figures and until we are able to budget it, but it's something that we're looking at is involving more residents and giving input on the different types of community services, human services, housing, social services that we provide. So that's something that we also talked about and you'll be hearing more about in future mayor's reports. So that's my report for today. Have a